This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe. I'm here to tell you all to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming and remember to turn on notifications. You will be the first to know all about the latest Dragon Ball news and information.
Oh, did you say UnrealEntGaming? Oh, I love his channel.
God damn it, Zarbon, stop rubbing your nipples and get back to bed!
The subject of the Grand Priest has been an ongoing topic now within the Dragon Ball community, and the Daishinkan possibly having to be evil, and today we're going to be diving into my reasons behind the evil Grand Priest theoretical video to see what exactly the community had to say in regards to their theories on the Grand Priest alongside their opinions. And again, I do want to say that if you guys have any opinions and or theories of your own to add, go on ahead and drop your theories and opinions down the comment section below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to go on ahead and punch that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever a Dragon Ball video is posted onto the channel. Hashtag notification squad. So without wasting any more time, let's go on ahead and see what the community had to say in regards to the Grand Priest possibly having to be an enemy in the future Dragon Ball Super story. So without wasting any time, let's go on ahead and dive into the comment section to see what exactly you guys had to say in regards to the Grand Priest. The Grand Priest is so powerful that not even Potara fusion between Beerus and Whis might make a difference, or I could be wrong. Maybe the Grand Priest has godly power over 1000 while Whis is simply like 100. Well, that's just using headcanon stuff, but even though it'll be a cool concept to see angels and gods fuse, that concept is irrelevant because that's only applied in either Dragon Ball video games or of course, other Dragon Ball concepts. But as of right now, you cannot expect to see any Hakaishin fuse with any sort of angel. Let's go ahead and scroll more down here. Why is nobody considering the fact that Zeno was still alive in the future Trunks timeline, which means the Grand Priest was alive as well, and with that, Zeno came to see Universes 6 and 7's match, but didn't see all the gods dying off. Well, that's the thing. The big mystery is whatever happened to the Grand Priest in Trunks' timeline. Does he still exist? Has he been erased? I mean, going based on speculation, one can only assume that the Grand Priest in the future has been erased alongside that timeline in which the Omni King had destroyed. Even though we don't have any clarification as to what happened to him, some can speculate in saying that he might be alive, while other people might speculate and say, well, he possibly has been erased given the fact that the Omni King has completely wiped out that timeline. I feel like Zamasu took over the Grand Priest or the Omni King. Well, there is no evidence to support the idea of Zamasu having to take over the Grand Priest or the Omni King, given the situation that Zamasu, given to our knowledge, hasn't even encountered the Grand Priest, and let alone the Omni King. The Omni King erased him from existence, so the question lingers as to how Zamasu could invade the Omni King's body if the Omni King simply erased him. I think the Grand Priest is tricking the Omni King and destroying those universes to weaken the Omni King's overall power. The angels want to take over, but again, there is no supporting narrative to carry on with the angels having to take over, because you have to ask yourself as to why do the angels want to take over? I mean, the subject of the Grand Priest having to trick the Omni King in destroying the universes and weakening the Omni King's power does sound logical, but in essence, how come the Omni King doesn't pick up on the idea that he's being weakened due to all the universes having to be destroyed? It's a good manipulation tactic, but again, there is no evidence to support that idea, although it would be a very interesting idea to see how the Omni King feeds off of other universes in terms of power. Again, if the Omni King was smart enough, he would pick up on the idea that once he's eliminated universes, that there's something going on with his power. Let's go ahead and scroll more down here to see what you guys had to say. It comes down to the final warriors on the tournament, and Goku gets skeptical over the Grand Priest and screams, "Zenchan, whose idea was it to destroy the losing universes?" And Zeno replies, "It was the Grand Priest, why do you ask?" Then Goku suggests, "Why not let us live, Zenchan? If we live, you can have more tournaments whenever you want." Then the Zenos decide that the remaining universes can live, but the Grand Priest hates that idea and tries to steal Zeno's God Tablet because it has the power to destroy universes and want to wipe out Goku and friends. And he can't, what he calls the angels, to help him so he can come over and overthrow Zeno, and then the war of the gods and angels breaks out. See, I like the beginning of your theory in having the fact that Goku cries out to Zenchan as to Zenchan, whose idea was it to actually destroy the multiverse? And having Zeno reply by saying, well, it was the Grand Priest's idea. Why do you ask? That right there would be a pivotal moment in, you know, catching up on the idea that there's something up with the Grand Priest, because if Zenchan never came up with the idea originally, then who came up with the concept of destroying the universes? See, that would be a very creepy ass, like, you know, scene to portray, especially with, you know, the Grand Priest having to bark orders and saying, well, we're gonna do this my way and the losing universes will be destroyed, especially with the idea of Zenchan not having to request this at all. So I think that even by the end of it, even if there was an all-out war, you have to ask yourself as to how in the world Goku can team up with Jiren or anybody else to stop the Grand Priest, because on a logical scale, the Grand Priest would simply be the most powerful entity that our fighters have ever come across. So you have to ask yourselves as to how they can stop him, you know, if they themselves don't have the power to even match up to the angels, let alone the Grand Priest. Interesting concept nevertheless. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. If the Grand Priest is a villain of this arc, there'd be more tension because he's much stronger than Frieza. If the authors make Frieza a villain in this arc, I hope they're gonna give him a boost, otherwise it'll be boring. To be realistic, every god of destruction can literally erase Frieza, and yes, you are right. Is it a coincidence that 6 universes were destroyed by Zeno? If I remember right, Lucifer managed to recruit 1/3 of the angels to support him, and yes, you are right. There were 18 universes in total, and 6 was 1/3 of 18. Is it possible that there was a war between Zeno and some Daishinkan before the beginning of Dragon Ball? Well, if your math, if your overall math checks out, and the Omni King having to take out, you know, 1/3 that is of 18 universes, then that is eerily creepy, because now we have a direct connection between Lucifer and the actual biblical reference, and even Dragon Ball and the Omni King having to destroy 6 out of the 18 universes, which in fact is 1/3 of the overall multiverse. So that's kind of scary, but you are right. I think that if Frieza were to be the main villain, in which I still stand by that opinion, if Frieza were to be the main baddie of this arc, I think that yes, they ought to give him a boost, but in which kind of boost are you referencing to is unknown, because if they want to make him stronger than a god of destruction, then that'll be dumb. I think that overall Frieza, if he were to be a villain, should be manipulative, he should be very cunning, very devious, and very deceptive, and you don't always have to be the strongest to get it your way. Frieza can just manipulate others to do thy bidding for him. But again, having to look at the overall concept of Lucifer having to recruit 1/3 of the angels in heaven to support him, I mean, that could be directly referenced to here, or simply put, this could be one giant coincidence. So let's go ahead and scroll down here to see what you guys have to say. What if Zeno is in his base form as well to contain his power, but if shit gets serious, he turns into a blue-skinned dude like the angels, and his demeanor changes, obviously? Well, first things first, there is no evidence to support this. So again, for people out there saying that Omni King has a form, that's pretty dumb. The Omni King is what he is. He stands as he stands, and he doesn't have a form. But if that were to happen, that would be a completely stupid idea, and the fact that I think that Zeno should remain the way he is, and that pretty much seals up that. Gods versus angels will be one-sided. They could easily assassinate the Kaioshins just to overpower them. Jin looks badass, and his angel actually likes him. Well, that goes back to my theory that not all the angels have to be evil. What if, for example, we have 6 universes with 6 angels, and 6 of them actually are bad, while the other 6 are good? Then you can actually have a war between angels and angels, brothers and sisters, brothers and brothers, sisters and sisters. So that would be an interesting concept, in half of them having to take up with the concept of the Daishinkan, and the other half having to rebel. But either way, I think that in general, to destroy the gods, all you have to do is just destroy the Kaioshin, and it's all over from there. So let's go ahead and scroll more down here. The Grand Priest is a deceiver. That could be true. He gathered the Dragon Balls and wished for Zeno to become young before he was older and mature. Using the Super Dragon Balls, they can grant any wish. He then manipulated Zeno to destroy the universes and is using him before he tries to overthrow him. I don't know though, smoking right now, so just the thought. Well, stay lit, my friend. But either way, that could be an interesting concept, but I really can't see them going with the approach of, you know, the Daishinkan having to wish for Zeno to be a child, because everyone else knew of Zeno way back from the beginning, because Zeno is arguably the one that appointed everyone in their current roles as Hakaishin and angels. Let's go ahead and scroll more down here. If the Grand Priest is evil, then they need to stop, then we need to introduce Zarama, since the Super Dragon Balls are not stone and the normal ones turn to stone when the creator dies. Well, the thing about Zarama is we don't know who created Zarama, so that's the question. It could have been Daishinkan, it could have been the Omni King, it could have been another entity, but even with that being said, if the Grand Priest is evil, I can definitely see him gathering the Dragon Balls for his own bidding, you know, to suit his own needs. But even if he were evil, yeah, I mean, there's not much he can actually require unless he wants to erase Zeno using the Dragon Balls. But even with that being said, that would put him on the top tier, and then we would have a really big problem as nobody can oppose the Daishinkan. Alright, here we go. I think the Grand Priest is evil for 2 reasons. When the Universe 9 got raced, he had a smirk on his face like he enjoyed it. He acted like he was looking forward to seeing other universes get erased. I think that when other universes, except for the winning universe, which is obviously going to be universe number 7, will win, he will try to take the Omni King's spot to really become the ultimate being of the multiverse. Why wouldn't he take over the spot just because they are kids? So they are well, I wouldn't say reckless, but like not smart at making decisions. Well, I mean, the Omni King isn't really the brightest person that we've seen, but he certainly isn't that stupid either. But then again, if he's truly evil and he takes the Omni King's spot, then who knows what he will do with that kind of power. Also, love your videos, man. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Savage. Well, the thing is, I don't think that the Omni King will actually allow his spot to be given up, especially by this person. But I just think that yes, by the end of it, Universe 7 will be intact, as we do have confirmation that the creators and story writers actually have plans for future arcs. But as of right now, we don't know how Universe 7 is going to remain, because we don't know if they're going to lose and be brought back, or if they're going to win indefinitely. Dude, UnrealEntGaming, you just gave me an idea. You said Lucifer took 1/3 of heaven with him. What's 1/3 of 12? It's 4. Why is this important? Well, because there are 4 angels that have been upside down, orange triangle on their clothes. Oh wow, that's actually very interesting. Just like how the Grand Priest has an upside down orange triangle. Oh my god, maybe those 4 angels will side with the Grand Priest. Edit, Mojito has an upside down orange triangle, by the way. If this theory ends up being true, and we have a definitive answer as to which 4 angels are gonna rebel, then we still have a plethora of other angels, i.e. being 8 more, that are gonna oppose them. So ultimately enough, what you're setting up here is the Daishinkan and 4 other angels, which are a total of 5, versus 8 other angels. But we know the other 8 angels can't really stand up to the Daishinkan, so ultimately, if you want to look at angels versus angels, it'll be 8 good angels versus 4 bad ones. And I think that you're onto something, so I actually might make a theoretical video speaking about this, so I'm definitely going to give you credit for that, because I do understand that there is something fishy going on. I do still stand by the Lucifer theory that the Daishinkan, if he in fact is evil, I think that he's going to try to take most people with him in the idea similar to the concept of Lucifer. But those 4 triangles I have not noticed, but I'm definitely going to look into them as soon as I can. So thank you so much for that. Let's go ahead and scroll more down here. Whis was able to one-hit KO Beerus because he sneezed and got out of control and far beyond Vegeta and Goku's abilities in Super Saiyan Blue form. You are correct. So you can compare angelic ki to fighting ability to every other living thing like ants, every non-angelic being versus either the angels. I don't know that Goku or anyone else besides Vegeta can even touch or harm an angel without Omni King or some angelic power boost or lots of help. The elimination of the multiverse's strongest makes me kind of think that less trouble for the potentially evil Grand Priest to deal with, like a distraction, so there is none left to oppose him. I agree. Probably not, but just an interesting theory, I think. Now, there's nothing wrong with having an interesting theory that backs up your claims, and I think that you are correct. There is no other being that could rival the power of an angel and or Daishinkan. I still think that not even Vegito, I'm sorry, I love Vegito, but I don't even think Vegito can compare to someone like the Daishinkan, man. Like, that's the second in command. However, in the Daishinkan having to get rid of potentially, opposing members to his, position, that could play a factor, because I can definitely see the Grand Priest using this tournament to get rid of all the potential mortals, all the strong mortals from one day possibly having to rival the Daishinkan in power. But then again, we have no evidence of this until we see more of Dragon Ball Super tonight, Dragon Ball Super next week, etc, etc. But I definitely think that something sinister is happening, and I don't want to go based off of Dragon Ball Super episode 98 too much. However, having to look at the overall depth and scale, I can definitely see, you know, angelic having to be a different kind of power compared to God Ki or compared to Mortal Ki, because, you know, the angels do have a huge power in comparison to the Hakaishin, in comparison to the mortals. But even if that were the case, I want to ask all of you guys, who in the world can compare to the Daishinkan if he becomes evil, aside from the Omni King? If the Grand Priest is the father of the angels, then who's the mother? Good question. That we don't know about. I mean, literally, it could be anybody for all we know. He's not evil Grand Priest. Even Whis, he even told Whis, I envy you because you get to know people like Goku. He likes Goku, so there's no way that he's evil at all. And I agree with you. However, you never know if someone's trying to be deceptive and trying to be friendly with somebody just to suit their agenda in the far future. So we don't know if in fact Daishinkan was using that, you know, sort of like scene or scenario to his advantage and getting to know Goku more and having to study him and trying to see why the Omni King favors Goku among any other mortal. But again, as you said, he could not be. Maybe he's not evil. Maybe in fact that this is all just a giant coincidence. But even if that were to be the case, I mean, I wouldn't really mind that too much. Let's go ahead and scroll more down here. I believe Zeno respects the Grand Priest, and just as he was with Whis, when he puts Beerus down, maybe just because Grand Priest could do such the same thing as Omni King. But then, where were the guards if Zeno be stand up against? Well, the thing about the guards is we don't know how strong they are. I mean, we really don't. The guards could be strong or they could be potentially weak. So I would love to see the guards actually go down first if they in fact are evil, if they become evil. But either way, I think that it'll be a very interesting concept to see the actual guards get involved if that were to be the case, because I want to see, you know, the overall, you know, guards get involved. I want to see them actually do something here. Let me see here. Alex, I love your work, brother, so I'll give you my opinion. In the Bible, the devil does not want to be God. Lucifer just grows jealous of God's love for man, that God makes them worship man. Yes, I remember in the Bible, God said that, you know, every angel, every living being has to bow down to Adam, to the creation, right? And he was the only one that didn't want to bow down because he felt as if he was first, and he did want the power of God. He wanted to assume the position of God and thus rebelling against them, even though he also rebelled in the idea of Adam, in, you know, that the fact that he shouldn't be able to praise a creation that came after him. So, you know, that could tie into this, you know, in the overall idea of the Daishinkan having to come, you know, before the mortals, and him having to be revered and having to respect Goku for Goku having to be a simple mortal, being buddy with the Omni King and stuff. Who knows? But you're right. So he rebels against that. Hence Zeno becoming friends with Goku. That's exactly what I just said. Hence Zeno becoming friends with Goku, giving him favor that even Grand Priest does not have. Exactly. That's jealousy. Hence leads to, like you said, a War of the Gods. Final chapter in Dragon Ball Super, and this explains why no gods are non-canon GT. They have all been wiped out. They all wipe each other out. Well, if in fact this theory ends up being true, and by some mere chance we go into GT, because then again GT was done way before Super. That was before the whole God concept. But if in fact they want to go down that route and not having any of the gods show up anymore, then this would be the perfect story to have everybody wipe each other out. And I agree with you. I think that Zeno becoming friends with Goku has made the Grand Priest jealous because Goku has privileges that the Grand Priest does not. And you guys have to consider the fact that this is a big issue. This is a big issue because imagine you're the Grand Priest and you see this regular mortal get all of these positions and essentially get all of these like entitles that you don't have. It'll make you jealous, it'll make you envious of this person, and thus I can see why the Daishinkan would not like Goku, because, you know, Zeno favors him. Let me go ahead and scroll more down here. Great video. Interestingly, the priest has never shown being annoyed or irritated by Zeno, or maybe he's happy Zeno has found Goku, and now the priest used Goku to set up the tournament. Yes, in which the universes get erased, giving the priest some sort of advantage over Zeno. That could be the case. They could easily, Grand Priest could have easily used Goku as a conduit to go on ahead and just, you know, get him to start the tournament and get him to be the one responsible, pretty much taking the blame for all this. And I think that overall, it would be a great thing to see the Daishinkan admit to this, but until then, as you said, he hasn't been irritated, he hasn't been annoyed, he's actually been very pleased by this, which is very eerie if you look at his position. Let me see, make up your mind, one he's good, one day he's bad. I already told you, Tyler, in the video that I permanently think that Daishinkan is a good guy, so I don't know if you're taking my words out of context or if you're just flat out stupid, but next time make sure you listen to my words, because I am telling you, even before I'm making the video, I think that the Daishinkan is not evil. However, I am sharing a theory as to why he potentially could be in a logical matter. Don't take my words out of context. Pay attention next time. Let me see. Now I'm starting to wonder who the other 4 top fighters in the multiverse are. This would be an interesting arc if it happens. I agree, and there's so much more potential that you can have with other arcs and other universes and stuff in terms of like content. But I mean, this is gonna be a deciding factor as to what happens next, because we don't know as to what's gonna happen next. So anything can possibly happen in this tournament. Either A, this tournament can end cleanly, or B, this can be a total clusterfuck. So. But either way, guys, post your comments down below. What are your overall thoughts on this? The best explanation, they're always trying to overthrow for the loop. My bet is the Grand Priest is a good guy, and he is tired of living under the reign of Zeno, who is a child with unlimited power and cannot be trusted. He wants to overthrow him to save the universe, because I believe this is like the Matrix situation. This has happened dozens of times before. Universes have been created, destroyed, and the Grand Priest is getting tired of it, and he is the one of prophecy. That sounds like some really scary shit, man. But even if that ends up being the case, how would you explain the Matrix, theory in the world of Dragon Ball? That'll be so convoluted. I mean, you're gonna have to go back over and over again and explaining how he knows of this and how he knows of, the overall reality of universes getting destroyed. It's unquestionable that that the Omni King's a child, because he is. He has the the mental capacity of a kid. But that's just the nature of his character. So if in fact he does end up being evil, it's gonna be a huge problem. But as I said before, guys, I want to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Don't get all butthurt in the comments. This is just a theoretical video. I mean, as you guys can see, we're all sharing our thoughts and opinions and theories and speculating as to if the Daishinkan is evil or not. So thank you all for watching, guys. Once again, if you guys are fans of Dragon Ball, be sure to go on ahead and slap a like down below. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to go on ahead and subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever I post a Dragon Ball video on the channel. Hashtag notification squad. Tune back in for more. I love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You guys are what make this fun. I mean, you guys are what make this great. I mean, you guys are like, I mean, just looking at your theories, and some of you having to rationalize this, and some of you having to throw some wacky ideas in there. It's really cool to see the community get involved, and I do have to say thank you all so much for adding in your 2 cents as to what you guys believe. Whether or not you guys think he's evil or good, it's entirely up to you. I mean, I want to know what you guys have to say, so thank you all for watching, guys. Once again, tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys in the next Dragon Ball video. Take it easy, guys, and God bless. Peace.